Good morning from the north. The fish have been awake a little while, long enough for morning feed, so I'd fed them. I suppose I should have recorded that. It's always fun to watch fish eat, but I just wasn't ready to get the camera out yet, and they were ready to eat, so it went that way. But they're all doing good. The sun's coming up in the tank. You can back. It's too dark to back off on the camera right now. But you can see everybody's quite happy. Everybody's looking chunky and muscular. Nice fat heads. This was my sickest fish before I started running the new UV bulb. And that was 2 months ago. This fish was on death's door, and it had been struggling for a couple months before that, so it stunted. But we saved her at least. We lost 4 of her siblings, though, because they were all, that particular strain that I had was vulnerable to bacteria, free-floating bacteria in the water. That was the problem. And that was the number one thing that I have been fighting since day one. And that's why this video is going to be a more in-depth look at UV. And I also want to talk about being safe with UV. You have to, it's dangerous stuff, and you have to be careful. You don't use it right. You put it in the wrong spot. You can blind yourself if you don't shield it, and if you just threw one of these bulbs in your tank, you would kill your fish in about an hour. So there are considerations, and I will mention those two facts a little more often in my videos, because I certainly wouldn't want anyone to make that mistake. Popping one of these bulbs just straight up in the tank. You have to make sure there's no line of sight with the light, with the UV light. If there is, you're both for you and your fish and your other household pets. If you've got a cat that might be able to get in under your tank, you don't want them back there. You want to make sure everything's sort of closed off. Or I've got mine all. My cat can't get back there. So, and it's seeing the bulb directly. That's the danger. If it's bouncing off a wall, it's not really a big deal. If there's a little bit of glow off the back wall or something, that's not gonna kill someone. It's like staring into the sun. It's the same idea. You just don't do that for the same reason. You blind yourself. So pretend it's the sun, and always have a shield. In my case, I just keep my doors closed. It creeps out the door a little bit there, but I've also got it wrapped up with a bunch of sponges and behind some plastic, and there's a few layers of dimming going on. But I keep this door closed, and when I open it, I adjust my head so that it's not hitting me in the face, But I'll put the camera down there for you, so you can sort of see what's going on. And I'm using sponge to pretty much shield most of the light, but it's definitely getting through that sponge. I had it up closer to the sponge, and it deteriorated. It literally, the light broke down the molecular structure of that sponge. I'll see if I can get closer to it without get my head off to the side, keeping my eyes out of line of sight while I'm doing this, so I don't hurt myself. You can sort of hopefully see. I gotta come down lower. That's what I gotta do. There, you can see how it just disintegrates. The light has disintegrated the sponge, and that's what it'll do. That's how you know you've got some power going on. And that's a 13 watt nickel metal halide bulb. You get them for around $20. I think it's hurting my camera. I gotta back off. You can get them for $20 on Amazon, eBay. I think someone told me they were $12 US on eBay. Same bulb. I'll show you the box. And here we're downstairs because we're running one of these bulbs down here too, and it's handling all 450 gallons down here. It's handling. There's no fish in this tank. It's just it's an available tank. And it's also the bottom of my system, so it's kind of like a sump. This is where my water drops from evaporation for all the tanks. The water drops there, and you know, then we got the Oscar tanks on the other side of the room. And looks like they hit the filter last night. I'll have to straighten that up. They might have done that recently because it looks like they've kicked up the water a little bit. I fed them earlier as well, so they kind of get the zoomies after they eat. Sometimes they go bouncing off the glass because, I don't know, it must be a digestion thing. But it's just normal for Oscars. There's nothing wrong. So down here, I've deployed the UV in this pipe, this inlet pipe. You can see it there. You can see the cord running in here. It runs into that inlet pipe. I've slid it in there, and that's my shielded spot for the basement UV. Kind of see it glowing. I could pull it out and show you, but I hate exposing it to myself, so I'll leave it there. This is the box. Okay, and the important thing you're looking for when you purchase a UV light, because there's a lot of gimmicky stuff out there, and well, you know, they'll just say UV. You want UVC. UVC is a spectrum of UV that will destroy cells, like you saw in the sponge. It literally like obliterates DNA, and it just kills shit. So even the larger organisms, they'll be rendered infertile at the very least. It should kill them too, though. It's basically gonna, a bulb like this is made for ponds, and the trick I've learned coming back to the hobby is always look for the pond stuff. The pond stuff is super cheap, and the aquarium stuff is expensive and gimmicky. Pond stuff's cheap and effective. It's also, this is dangerous. Like I said, you've got to worry about shielding, but it's not meant for aquarium use. Meant to throw in a pond. You know, somewhere in a pond where your fish are not. Like your one of your settling pits for filtration. I'm forgetting the name for that right now. There's a name for, and I can't remember it, but it starts with a W. But anyway, the damn, I wish I remembered that name. I can't. But that's kind of how I deployed it. Now beforehand, I had tried the gimmicky guys, and they work. They work to a degree. They don't handle everything. The stuff that's going to make your fish, the bacteria that's going to get into your fish can survive this. So you won't escape or reduce your use of meds by using these, but they will make your water look pretty good. They'll make your water look good and clear, but they won't sanitize your water like this light is disinfecting my water. I could stick this light in my bathroom and it would disinfect my bathtub and my sink and, you know, all that. It would kill all the germs. It just turn it off and leave the room. You turn it on and leave the room. That's what you're meant to do. You can use these like that as well, and they're completely waterproof. So you just stick them. I just stick them right in, and it's the most cost-effective UV in the UVC spectrum that I can find out there. And if I can find them cheaper, great, I will. But and they work for at least a few months. I've had them a few months. I've read reviews where they burn out every 2 months. Some people have said, but light bulbs are basically, these are up to 10,000 hours. So if you get one of the ones that came off the line properly or whatever, it doesn't have a defect, the thing could last you almost a year. I think that's more than a year, actually, 10,000 hours. So, and it's going to burn strong the whole time until it dies. That's another thing. The fluorescent ones, they don't do that. They get weak with time. But nickel metal halide bulbs will burn bright till they die. And it only uses 15. It's a 15 watt bulb. I think it doesn't even use that much electricity really. So, and you get really nice clean water result out of it, and healthy fish. And that's it. Letting all the gunk run amok in your water like they do with the swamp tanks, it's not going to benefit like most of the fish out there. It really isn't. You should be, trying to achieve clear water. And this system needs a water change. Oops. It needs a water change. The whole thing. Like, look how much evaporation I've got. So it's time. It's time to do this tank. It's time to do the one upstairs too. I think I'm just going to be water changing today. But that's what we're up to here in the north. So I'm using a combination of these weaker ones in the tank because they're doing something. But the real effective one is those $20 bulbs. That's the one that's really doing. That's the one that's saving lives in my system. And thankfully that option exists, because if you look through the aquarium stuff and you go, to buy what you need, it's very expensive. Very expensive. Like 10 times the price minimum, and that's for an internal 24 watt green machine. So a lot of people don't use UV because it was out of reach, and I get that. I understand that completely, but it's not out of reach anymore. You just got to improvise a little bit, and if you can afford it, it's still under $200. And I'm talking Canadian, so it's probably only like $80 in the States to get an internal 24 watt. And then I think it's like, $50, $60 bulb replacement cost for that unit. So they get you there, but that's just the aquarium. That's why you look for this stuff in the pond equipment instead of the aquarium equipment, because the pond guys are probably going to need to buy 4 or 5 of them at a time. But the aquarium guy, he only needs one. Then you get happy, healthy fish that don't want to kill each other because their water's making them comfortable and they're not irritated. And you can stick a whole bunch of fish that should be ripping each other apart together, and they won't rip each other apart. That's how it works. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a great day.